what fields do you want in the report. So it quickly gives you a list of all of the core fields within the service core, or I could just say just the incident fields, or just about CIs, your configuration items. You pick the fields that you want to have in the report. You can put various filters on it, like if your action details in there, if they've done 50 things to try to resolve the issue, you want to show everything or just the last 4 or 5 things they did. Should this report be for all incidents, only open incidents, only incidents for the network group, or for the network group and the telecom group, so I can multi-select and go through here? Is it for all tickets or only critical tickets or high tickets? So, again, you get the idea. You can go in and put in any type of filters to make this report look and act the way that you want it to do. And once you do that, you save it, you run it, you've got a new custom report that you've done, no crystal experience needed here, pretty much a drag and drop way of you doing this. And this type of drag and drop, I'll also point out, is the exact same method that we use for creating business rules and notifications. We say, what do you want the rule to be called? We went, well, what triggers the rule to fire? What is it going to be based on? It's the same type of information as you go through here. So again, a very easy way to go in and to be able to take a look at that. So the last part of it, before we kind of open it up for questions, I mentioned that you will have a true CMDB when you get to this stage of it, and this is where we've got all of their various and sundry assets that are in here. As Dick mentioned, we actually make an add-on product that works with Service Core. That if you want to scan your asset tags and serial number tags of your devices as you receive them and put them into the CMDB, so again I can associate them with the incidents as they come in, you can do that. And this is that Windows XP that had T. Brady was using there that we looked at. So there's that same information, who it's actually assigned to out there within the system. The history of what's going on with that asset from the time we purchased it to every change we made to it, to every time there was an incident associated with it. We can give you that type of detail once you configure that CMDB, and then we can even give you relationships. So not so much on a desktop here, but on a server that might be running one of your primary applications. It would be nice to know that there were relationships upstream, downstream, peer-to-peer, and to be able to show those and to even be able to graphically view those in a visualization type of view as well. So that's all brought to you once you add in the CMDB with your Service Core as you go through there. So again, a very quick high-level overview of what's in there. For those of you who might be interested, well, how easy is it to administer and do upgrades and all of that? We'd be happy to cover that in a more extensive session. I can tell you that you would be very, very pleased with how simple it is compared to a lot of the systems that are out there. Contact your sales representative, and we can arrange some one-on-one presentations as needed on either the Service Core or both the Service Core and the Asset Core side of the house. So, Dick, I guess with that, maybe we can open it up and start taking some of the questions that came in through the Q&A window.
Sure. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that, Roger. While we're waiting for questions to come in, we have some in now. But I have to say great job, because I asked you to talk about CMDB, service catalog, and dashboard and analytics, and you hit everything. So I think that was good. And the other thing that came to mind while you were talking, and I just wanted to share this, because I got a new car not too long ago, and it'd been a long time since I'd been about 8 years since I'd had a new car. And when I got the car, it had an owner's manual. It was 800 pages long. That was just one of the owners. This is just what's happened in the past few years, is these cars have gotten a lot more complex. And the one thing that auto manufacturer now has is they have a service catalog. So what I do is I go to the website, and I had a light that went on the dashboard. I didn't know, what am I supposed to do? Do I need to pull over on the beltway? But what you can do is you can actually go to the service catalog, and then you can search through. They have a knowledge base to try to figure out what action that you're supposed to take. And I think that's kind of a real good analogy is what's happening on the IT side as well. Is we're trying to offload questions that you were typically handling at the service desk, and now you can go to a service catalog and you can search and get answers to questions, or you can put in requests as you all saw here. So let's go ahead and
example of a knowledge base article.
Yeah. Okay. So, and it's a pretty slick system, and that's one of the things that SDE is a little bit lacking in. So, it's something that for the SDE users out there that they can really look forward to down the road. So why don't we hit, because there's questions coming in, let's try to hit some of these questions that are in here now. The first question, and I'll just go in order here, it says here that we run SDE and feel that the change management functionality we have set up and utilized is clunky. What would you recommend for sources to work with us to validate or correct what we have set up? Now, I assume here by clunky, maybe the workflow isn't set up quite right, or maybe the sign-off procedure doesn't work very well. And again, it's often not about the tool, it's about the processes. So, RightStar has process consultants that are idle experts, and it's one thing to be certified, but since this is all we do and this is what we've done for the past 10 years, we can point you to other customers maybe that have done this in a way that's not as clunky as you would have liked to. So, Roger, sorry, I kind of answered that one. Is there any? We can move to the next one if you want.
You did a great job, Dick.
Now, here's one. Now, the next one is what are your comments around Service Desk? And I think the question probably is asked, what are your comments around Service Desk Express now? So I think that means kind of where are you guys 1 year later? Because it's been about a year since the announcement was made and BMC acquired Numara. Is there anything that pops in your mind, Roger, about 1 year later?
Well, I guess the biggest thing, of course, is there was another release a few months ago, 10.2 of Service Desk Request. It will be the last release, but it brought in release management, which hadn't been there before, and it brought in the ability to use SQL reporting services as opposed to having to rely on Crystal. So at least for the last release, I think they added a couple of things, and I have been surprised that how many SDE customers have come back and said, well, wait a minute, they're going to give us support through 2017. I don't have to do anything necessarily today, and I'll end up doing a release management demo or a follow-on change management demo. So there's been a surprising number of that, and there's also, of course, been a lot of people who've taken advantage of the very lucrative incentives that BMC has out there to move over to one of the other products, some great financial incentives. And the other comment that I would make is there's still a lot of automation that can be offered up through SDE that I think a lot of customers aren't necessarily using, and that's like the automated approvals through email approval engines, or with 10.1 and above, the ability to leverage templates to automatically do things like assign approvals and assessments within change management without having to write business rules. So kind of those are the things I'm seeing in SDE, and that's a little bit of an additional add-on to the question that you answered, Dick.
Okay. I think that's a good one, and we do have a lot of SDE customers out there that I think are probably still pretty happy. So I think that's a testament that the product is really pretty solid, and it's not something that people need to just immediately drop everything and move on to a new product. I think that's why BMC allowed support to continue for so long. Yep. Okay, next question, Dan, is there an integration engine similar to the integration engine in SDE?
Yeah, it's similar. They have two components within the FootPrints. They have something they call dynamic SQL, which really allows us to very easily go out and bring data in from any relational database. That doesn't mean a SQL database. It means any relational database, and we do that quite often. We connect to a map fields just the way we did it within the integration engine. And, of course, there's also web APIs as a way of just going out and retrieving instantaneous type information that we needed to get, whereas the dynamic SQL is, while it can be a lookup based on an event happening, a lot of times it's also used for other ways to bring in like asset data, or if you've got people-related data in both Active Directory and in your PeopleSoft database, a tool like that can do that mapping. So very similar functionality to what the integration engine was.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, can FootPrints be a web service client and server? Is that for purposes of integration then? Is that so back and does that mean bidirectional updates? What is that?
I'm not sure. I'd need a little bit more clarity on that, but yes, it can publish information through these web APIs. It can request information, again, whether you're using a web API or whether you're using the SQL lookups. I would, if that customer would get in touch with us, I would just need a little bit more clarity on exactly what the use case was there.
Okay. Next question, do you have any integration between FootPrints and Dell Kace? And that's the Dell asset management product.
Right. I don't know of any out-of-the-box one, but, I mean, basically we can bring in asset information from anything else that's got an underlying SQL store, which Kace does. So just like we could bring in data from SCCM, for example, the way that we bring data in from our own asset core, it's basically a field mapping procedure. So given that I know we have done Kace with like SDE and Remedy before, and quite honestly, they may have done it with FootPrints. I mean, we've only been doing it for 6 months now. I haven't had anybody request Kace, but I would suspect that has been done as well. We can, logic tells me that it should be able to be done. If it's a very specific question, we can certainly go to the BMC Numara folks and ask where they have done that before and get a reference back for you.
Yeah, and BMC and Dell have a very good relationship, so it's likely that that's happened. Okay. Next question, any integration with Pinnacle billing system?
It would really be the same answer, whether Pinnacle in particular has been done or not, but given that you should, through a web service or through the SQL link, be able to exchange information, I would suspect that it could be done.
Okay. Next up is, what is a typical migration from SDE to FootPrints in terms of time and cost?
Well, and I know you want to hit me when I say this, but it depends, obviously, is the answer. There are a couple of considerations there. I can tell you, having experience on both products, that you can bring up and get FootPrints running in a lot quicker fashion than we were ever able to do on the SDE side. So generally, first off, are you going to try to basically just kind of redo exactly what you were doing with SDE? Or are you going to take this advantage of standing up something new to maybe do it better, more logical than you had done it before? But irregardless, you've got to learn a little bit about the tool. It's generally just a few days of training to make you feel very comfortable with how you design the forms. It's got great, easier form modification than even SDE had. It depends on obviously which modules you're talking about. Is it incident only? Are you also going to do change? Are you going to do the full CMDB with CI relationships, which you didn't have much of that in there? So it just depends, but I would say what I have been seeing of those SDE customers that we have brought over, it's been from as little as, say, 7 to 10 days up to, 3 to 4 weeks for a very sophisticated user that were using all of the modules and wanted some integrations to the other ones. But it's certainly weeks, not months. And the other big question, of course, is how much data, if any, are you going to try to bring out of SDE? Certainly we can do some of that if it's critical to you. The two systems are different, so every case you have to kind of look at individually, but again, some people like to just say, I'm going to archive off and save one license of SDE for historical reporting, or go directly against the SDE database. I've had other customers that say, no, we have some requirement that I've got to bring over the incidents for the past 36 months or change management or whatever, and we can certainly address that as on a customer-by-customer basis.